So sit back and enjoy Mark and my conversation with, say, the rather fabulous synth wizard legend that is Chris Payne.
Just checking.
Andy.
Checking the hair.
I'm very jealous looking at you, Chris, by the way. Keep doing that. I think he's trying to tell me something.
It's just a tick, a habit. Anyway, I promise you, I'm not taking the piss.
In 85, me and Mark were talking about this the other day, saying you were a musical director for Dead or Alive. Is that right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, out of the blue, our tour manager for Dramatis, a guy called Laurie Smallman Stebbin or something like that, lovely guy. I had a phone call from him saying Dead or Alive are looking for an MD, someone to, sort of not arrange their stuff, but make sure it's all in order and stuff. And would you like to do it? I said, yeah. Anyway, at the time, they were going to use the guitarist, who was a friend of Laurie's, from a band, I think they're called Camel, who was 70s prog rock. He couldn't do it because he had to go off and write some music for a Greenpeace film or something like that. So I got Russ involved, of course. Russ being a blindingly brilliant guitar player and a mate of mine. I knew he's somebody I knew. Then they had three backing singers, male backing singers, and 2 female backing singers, and then the band. The 4 of them: Pete, Steve, Tim, and Mike. And I remember going up there, driving up to Liverpool to rehearse with them. We had a 3-week rehearsal scheduled before going out on tour, and I was really surprised how they really had their act together. They really knew their stuff. They were all programmed well, because I think Tim was very good at programming. Mike was a good bass player. Steve, all his bass drum stuff was sequenced, so he just played snare, because he wasn't, by his own admission, wasn't the best drummer in the world, but he was solid. And Pete, the first time I remember playing, you got to bear in mind, we were playing in this rehearsal studio, going through a PA, and I'm hearing this voice, and I'm going, Jesus. And he's kind of just standing next to me because he didn't want to start singing in front of the mic. He was a very shy person. I could hear this guy over this rehearsal PA. Geez, the power of his voice is incredible. Absolutely amazing.
That's the Youthquake tour, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And that was the album that kind of launched.
It is, yeah. It was a sellout tour.
Right round.
Yeah, that's it. It was a sellout tour. It was great fun. And to be honest with you, I was just babysitting for them. I've got to have my way now, baby. All I know is that's me. You look like you're having fun. Open up your loving arms. Watch out here right now. You spin me right round, baby, right round. Like a record, baby, right round, round, round. I advised a few things. They had a chord wrong in one of the songs, or they said, "Are you sure about that?" I just had to change and alter a few bits and pieces. But calling myself musical director, that's my official title. But to be honest with you, I was a babysitter for them, and just playing. If something had gone wrong, you'd have taken over and played a Gino 106. Do you remember those? And also PPG Wave, I took one of those on tour with a lot of pre-programmed sounds, and a CP70, which is my own, which I use with, I bought back in the Dramatis days. Lovely piano. There again, what did I do? I sold it.
I remember last year at Wembley seeing you and Russ on stage with Gary. How did that, 40 years on, what was that like for you, mate? Because
such an honour to have been, invited back. Even though it's just the one song, it was, that doesn't matter. But what was odd was that I didn't recognise Wembley. I don't know if it's changed, they've rebuilt it or whatever, but it didn't look like it did before. And also our dressing rooms. I know it's a small thing, but back in 1981 when we played it, April '81, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Dressing rooms were stage right, this time they're stage left, so no big deal. You might argue, but I just didn't really, it didn't resemble what I remembered at all, apart from the size. It was all, chaos and the usual thing. It's a big event for Gary because he's come full cycle, back at a major venue in London. And but there was a film crew around there. We still had time to chat, but it was very, very chaotic. Okay, until he went on stage, and there was a point. I think we came on for the first encore, and Russ came from the right, I came from the left. So we're standing at the foot of the stairs, backstage. Okay, and there was no one around. There was that moment, right? No stage. There weren't any technicians. The audience were out there. The band were on stage. There were some people viewing from a viewing platform on the stage itself.
Sure.
I'm standing there. I'm looking around. Russell, I can't see. I'm here, and I'm going, this is weird. There's like 12,000 people in this place, and I'm on my own, just about to step out on stage. It's so odd and eerie in a way. That was a great moment when he forgot his lyrics. I don't know if there's a moment he's laughing his head off, and I turned around to him, I'm waving my bow, and I said, dude, get your fucking act together, you old git. And he's like laughing.
I just remember the reaction you and Russell got when you announced the roof went off the place, and I thought that was just what you guys deserved. I thought it was a really lovely moment. Really lovely.
That's fantastic, but I didn't get that because when you got in-ears in, you don't hear something.
Oh, mate, honestly, it was brilliant. As soon as you guys announced the place, just went. I just remember it. Really.
Yeah, it was good fun. And I'll tell you what, as well, it's a real family. You'll really, I've done quite a few guest appearances with Gary since 2009.
Yeah.
2012, obviously supporting 2018, and the Wembley show last year. And you're really welcome into that family. And every single member of that band over the years, you've got Steve, the guitarist, is a lovely guy. Richard, now he's left, really nice guy. Tim, both Tim Moneyman and now Tim Slade, they're just brilliant. They are so kind and welcoming. There's no ego. There's nothing like that. Obviously, Gary and Gemma, as well. Pleased to see you. Always got kind words to say. Are you okay? Really well looked after. It's a very inclusive atmosphere, which is great. Rather than Chris and Russell here. All right, do your bit. Bye. But again, Gary would never be like that because we didn't just play with him. We were friends. We still are.
Me and Mark did like the rise, the fall, and the resurrection of Gary Numan, like 3 episodes. It's so nice that he stuck with it because a lot of artists would have given up with the shit he was getting sort of late night. And I'm so pleased that he carried on because now look at him. It's just great to see.
Yeah, I don't know why he was so vilified in the press.
I don't either.
And Gary's just honest about what he was, what it was about.
Yeah.
And he made that clear to us from the start. He said, I'm in control of everything. And in terms of, arrangements, songs, the artistry, the theatre of live shows and all that sort of thing, we were fine with that. We didn't have an issue. It's his show. He had great ideas. He still has great ideas. Can you imagine if he had the budget to put those great ideas? I mean, as it is, he puts on a fabulous light show and all that sort of stuff. But God, can you imagine if we could take that stuff around the world? Can you imagine had we not stopped at Wembley and taken that tour around the world? It would have been something else. And there again, that's it. That's him. He wanted to put on a show for the fans that was, different, extraordinary, massive, and a wow factor. And I think that worked right through till post Fury. Fury was a great set. The last time I played with him live, I didn't really enjoy it too much because a good set there again. It was 89, whatever that tour was called. But myself and Aid Orange, we had these bars in front of us. It felt like we were in jail. You know, you were too cut off. You know what I mean?
You are distractions, like pictures on the wall. I don't like guys. You are attraction, it gets can be routine. You're up and down. She's go close, she's go close, she's go close.
So, Chris, apart from playing on some iconic performances and albums and writing songs, you also composed a lot of TV and film works.
Well, that's it. It's through production music. I worked for Chapel Music and through the others, Carlin. And of course, they kept getting bought out, so they became BMG and Zomba. Now, sadly, it's like all these companies were being bought out. It's Universal and Warner Chappell, who are the main people. I'm still doing it. Actually, I've just been given a very interesting project from a company called PMOL. Very, very good library company. It's run by an old friend of mine called Patrick Wilson and his partner. And I'm looking forward to doing that because that's going to be good fun. It's called Dark History. It's all the sort of elements of history. Because how library music works is fast clearance. In other words, if someone wants to, they've got a hole in the film where the composer's like should have done this, it doesn't quite work, and he's gone off to another job. They take that off and they go, we need something else, and they'll audition these tracks and then sing them. That's what I've been doing over the year. Although I haven't done a whole project for years. But in terms of writing, yes, I mean, I did an independent film school last year, which did go kind of, a lot longer than I thought. The director was brilliant, but he just kept changing his mind about things. But he's a very interesting young director, a guy called Kerry Bondragon, who was mentored under Spike Lee. It was a film called Wetiko, and I mean, it's good fun doing that because it gave me a chance also to use all these weird and wonderful flutes and things and some synth, some real instruments as well as synth and sound design. So. I mean, I've only had limited experience with films, and I don't go looking for it because everyone wants to do film schools. But and it can be frustrating because what you think is brilliant, the director goes, nah, and they put in some crap. I'd love to be able to do more indie films with directors who are really into the creative process. I mean, the protocol of making the sort of things Hans Zimmer does is absolutely brilliant, and all the others. But they're under tight time schedules, and it's all chaos, which can be good in a way. But and yes, of course, it's creative. It's extremely creative. But when you have more time to do something, it's I think it's a bit more fun, and changes are made, and he wants to change that. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but at the end of the day, seeing how the film progresses from where we started to where it finished, the score sounds great.
Just meant you hadn't died. Time can't erase. Heartbeats out of phase. In your empty eyes. Don't seem to want to realize. Well, 2025. When we were still alive.
Because I always ask this, and because I just find it fascinating. Desert Island Disc. What would it be for you? Because I'm hearing, you've got so many influences. It's probably a really cruel question to ask, but if you had to take one, what's the one album you've put on that's just stuck with you, or your go-to album? Is there one?
I guess your range goes from kind of like the medieval music.
It does. It goes Linda's Farm Fairport Convention, Griffin, Jethro Tull, T-Rex, Van de Graaff Generator, Faust.
Your Desert Island crate. So what's your Desert Island crate of music? No, there's some good names there, buddy. Some really good names there.
Well, I'd have to say Peter Gabriel's first album, because the track that resonated with me most of all with that, if it's on his first album, was Here Comes the Flood.
Yeah.
I've seen him, and I've seen Genesis about 4 times and him about 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
And he is extraordinary. I haven't seen Genesis with Phil Collins, so it's not offense to Genesis with Phil Collins, who wrote some great music. But when Gabriel left, to me, it was not the same. So I just followed Gabriel's route. and what is now a very prophetic piece of music, Here Comes the Flood. And I don't remember it just resonating with me. It came out about 76, 77. And it's just an album. I was 20. I just played it all the time, and so probably that. I mean, I might change my mind in a week's time,
we say the same.
but it's a strong memory from my younger years,
Yeah, it's the emotional connection.
As the nails sunk in the cloud, the rain was warm and soaked the crowd. Lord, here comes the flood. We'll say goodbye to flesh and blood.
Who's your musical hero?
I don't have musical heroes at all. I really don't. I have people I really admire, and those two are simple for me. It's Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. If I had to take a male artist and female artist, it'll be those two because they're both extraordinary and groundbreakers. Both lyrics, sound, emotion. It's breakthrough stuff as far as I know.
It's funny, we interviewed JJ Jexelic, who did all the sound effects on Art and Noise and ABC, and he worked with Kate, and he said not only does she make an amazing cup of tea, but she just wanted to challenge everything all the time. And I thought, well, that explains everything.
Never had the pleasure of meeting her, but at the moment I've been working on this album with a guy called Zaine Griff, who
I know Zaine, yeah.
Know Zaine, yeah. Lovely guy, amazing singer. Apparently we met back in the day when he sang on a Numan track, but I don't remember. And but we've become sort of very close friends, all by working on this album. And what it was there's a load of demos that we were recording for Visage, and Rusty only wanted to use bits and pieces of them and all that type of thing. So we kind of thought, well, we like the songs that we've given as they are, so why don't we record them? And we started off recording, and we've ended up with an entire album. It's the most fun album I've done as a commercial album, because the guy is brilliant. He sounds like Bowie, for Christ's sake. In some things he has his own voice, but he can sound like Bowie. In fact, we've done our producer is this guy called Hilbert Kavici from LA, who's a mate of mine who, he's an engineer. He's engineered Madonna, Prince, and Stevie Wonder and everything else. He was back in the day the sort of go-to engineer, and in LA. And anyway, he said, well, look, why don't we do a Bowie song? He said, I've got just the one, which would be great. This is Blue Jean. Because Blue Jean, it's not one you choose, is it? And someone with that can sing like Bowie, you want to make it a little bit of an unknown one. You don't want to do the very big hits, So we did Blue Jean, and as a friend of mine said the other day, it sounds like David Bowie covering his own song.
He had that Ashes and Diamonds song, didn't he? Which was very, was very Bowie-esque when it was released.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mark. Just checking.
Andy, checking the head.
I'm very jealous looking at you, Chris, by the way. Keep doing that. I think he's trying to tell me something.
It's just a tick, a habit. Anyway, promise you, I'm not taking the piss.
We repeat ourselves like crystals that dissolve and then they crystallize again. Words without thinking, the morning after ends. Ashes and diamonds, ashes and diamonds.
The point I'm making is that Zaine has an extraordinary record. He was a friend of Kate Bush, and on his album, one of his albums, his first two albums, or certainly the first album, was produced by Tony Visconti, who was Bowie's producer. And he introduced Zaine to Bowie, and Bowie, he played some bass with Bowie on a couple of things. And also, because he knew Kate Bush, Kate Bush sang on one of his songs, sang some backing vocals.
Wow.
And we've managed to extract that, okay? Zaine's re-sung it. Hill's rebuilt the piece, and actually managed to extract Kate's vocals. And it's going to come out on the album as well. The producer of that particular album was Hans Zimmer, so there's a connection there as well. Because of course, Zaine was with Helden, and I'll tell you another thing. You know, going back to Crucible, how things like go to circles. Crucible, the medieval rock band.
Yes.
I won't go into details how this came about, but years and years ago, there was the guitarist teacher was looking for a band to play some tunes and stuff like that. You know, they wanted sort of somebody sort of medieval folk rock band. Do you know anyone? They said, well, yes, it's us. So anyway, we went in to do all these demos, and they brought in this sort of like session guitarist from Brighton. So this long-haired guy comes up into the studio and he's speaking like this, you know, with this, well, he's not quite speaking like that. It's a terrible accent. Where am I from? He's speaking, this is French. No. Anyway, it turns out to be Hans Zimmer before he was totally unknown, you know, and he spent about 3 or 4 days with us doing all these demos.
Because he did the Helden thing with Warren Cann.
Exactly, and Zaine, insane, exactly. That, and Zaine's rebuilt the entire album with musicians from his territory, Auckland, in New Zealand, and it's just been released. It's released on Sony and released over here, or will be released through Right Track, who are associated with Universal. Go back to the album. I mean, yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to getting out. I don't know when it's going to come out. Maybe we will release Blue Jean with a video and see what the reaction is.
Yeah, let us know when it's coming out, Chris, because we'll promote the hell out of it on our channel and tell people.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's pre-ordered down or just to watch the video, whatever it is, just let us know and we'll have it.
Yeah, sure. No, it's just. I just thought I mentioned. I forgot about it, but I nearly forgot to tell you guys about it.
Well, one of our questions. I mean, this is one of our final questions. Was going to ask what you're working on currently, but obviously you've answered that. And there's so much you're working on currently. I mean, I know that Rusty's talking about the Visage reboot, and you played in the Visage thing he did in Belgium a couple of years ago.
Also, doing some sort of writing. I'll just briefly mention this. A few years ago, I was asked to write the music for a potential film stroke series called Replicas. Joe McCann is a Gary Numan fan, and he wrote this book called Replicas, and subsequently he's written other stories based on Numan characters from the sort of Pleasure Principle, things like the Mac Man and Fife and etc. etc. And the book was taken over, the film rights were bought by Leanne Langford, who's based in LA, and she asked me to come on board to write music as part of the team. They had 3 other guys. Hill was one of them as a producer and writer, and so was there's a guy, Stefano Miller, who's a very good director, and Scott Ingrotti, who's a good actor, etc., and line producer, and that was the team. Well, tragically, Leanne died just as COVID hit, you know, and the whole thing kind of fell apart. But Hill was saying to me, well, look, you know, because they've been childhood friends, etc., etc., do you want to carry on with this? And let's script it, let's get it finished, let's get the story nailed, and see what we can do. And we've been doing that ever since. But of course, it's a long process. And just as we're ready to kind of like, you know, go and take it to Netflix, there's the American Guild of Screenwriters strike, and that's brought everything to a standstill. And I totally agree with their strike, by the way. I think it's absolutely necessary, especially with the advent of AI. That could be very dangerous for any of us writers, you know, of music and stories. Anyone in the creative industry, it's a menace. He's sorting out now.
Yeah, agreed. Look, I just want to say it's been an absolute joy talking to you today. We really appreciate you giving up your time. It means a lot to Mark and I know our viewers will absolutely love this.
For personal reasons, me and Andy, you know, going back, you form a fundamental part of our musical upbringing and history. I mean, we thank you so much for giving up your time this morning.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. I could have carried on talking for hours. Well, you guys, thank you very much. I'm going to go now. I'm going to make some lunch now for my family.
Excellent.
So, now rock and roll.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care now.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Bye.
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 So that's it for another interview edition of the Electronic Cafe. We hope you enjoyed our conversation, say, with Chris Payne. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute joy to talk to you. Loved every minute of it, and we hope to talk to you again soon. If you guys haven't subscribed to the Electronic Cafe, please do so. We'd really appreciate it. We also have a Facebook group, which Mark and I will let you in. It's all about people like us sharing great music. And we also work with the amazing Blitz magazine. If you haven't subscribed to that, it is the best magazine out there for all things electronic music related. So you really should subscribe to that. I'll ask Mark to put a link down the bottom. In the meantime, stay safe. We'll look forward to seeing you soon on the Electronic Cafe. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.